Welcome to the very first episode of Habs Then and Now, where we will use our time machine that we don't really have to go from the past to the present. And I'll be talking about stuff from that I grew up with in the Habs history. Today, I'm going to talk about my very first game that ever went to, and a couple of other things, including the trade of Rogie Vachon. That really is what made me a Habs fan. I'll explain myself, and then we're going to talk about some stuff that is going on right now, and that's how every episode will be, from the past to the present, and that's right here at Habs Then and Now. All right, everybody. So I'm your host, Rick, or you can call me Slags. I don't care, either one. So like I said, we're going to talk about old stuff and present stuff. What we got today is my very first game when I wasn't even 5 years old was the Oakland Seals. So they had gone from the California Golden Seals to the Oakland Seals, or vice versa. I don't really remember. I don't remember a ton from the game, but we'll talk about it. And then I have a book I'm working on. And it's how I fell in love with hockey. So it really kind of goes for right here. I'm going to read from that and then talk about the trade of Rogie Vachon to the LA Kings. I was in, I think, grade one, and it made a big impression on me because everywhere that day in school, I think it was announced during the day, so it was at the end of school. Everybody was talking about it. I went shopping with my mom after school, and everybody was talking about it. Everywhere we went, I heard somebody talking about it. It made a big impression on me, and I think that's why I was a Tony Esposito fan before that. I can't tell you why. I just know why I was a Tony Esposito fan, and I think this Rogie Vachon trade and the impression that everybody was talking about the Montreal Canadiens made me divert to the Montreal Canadiens, and then I discovered Guy Lafleur, and then that's the rest is history. So we're going to talk about that. For the now, I've got some small things. The under 26 points predictions. So that in the Atlantic Division, and that includes 4 Habs. I did a points prediction video, so I'm going to show you my predictions as opposed to, I don't know who made these predictions. It's a meme I found. Could be RDS, something like that. I don't remember who. We'll find out when we do it. And quickly, there's NHL franchise evaluations from 2025. We'll let you see where the Habs sit there. The Jackeye brothers. Even though today it's Sunday, so after the last preseason game, we know now that Florian Jackeye did not make the team out of camp. But we're going to talk about the Jackeye brothers and kind of what that's going to mean for this team going forward, in my opinion. Let's see. The Habs were ranked number 14 on the NHL Super 16 power rankings. There's a little bit of a paragraph I'm going to read. It's from the NHL website. And then I'm going to make predictions for the next games. There's 6 games that's 6 in between today and when I do the next episode. So episode 2, I'm just going to give you who I think is going to win in those 6 games. 3 road games, 3 at home. And in the meantime, you may hear my cat meow because he loves to meow, and there's nothing wrong if you hear him meowing. He's not in pain, even though it sounds like it, but he does this all the time. So if you watch me regularly, you know that. All right, so we're going to start with the California Golden Seals. This is their logo. Whoopsie. There we go. That's their logo. I'm just going to go here like this. California Golden Seals. The Oakland Seals. The California Golden Seals. The logo was very similar. You can see the seal with the hockey stick. I had another one, but for some reason won't load in here. So this is the one I'm going to show you. So that's the team I ended up going to. I'll quickly go to this to show you the date, and then we'll get to it a little bit more. This is the box score. I found this on Hockey Reference. This is the game I went to. So Oakland versus Montreal, December 23, 1967. I was still a month and a half away from my 5th birthday. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah, I'm old. I'm sorry. What could I do? So we went to see my grandfather. Also, incidentally, a lot of you, if you watch me, know that I'm a dual citizen because I was born in the U.S. because my parents, both from Montreal and Canadian, my dad was working there when my brother and I were born. So we were both dual citizens. And we came back to Canada in July of 1967. So I was just in Canada for the first time I've never left since. I was 5.5 months. So this was our first hockey game. We didn't have a lot of exposure to hockey in Poughkeepsie, New York, where I was born. And this is my first exposure to it. I was not yet a hockey fan even at this point, and my grandfather took us to the game. And one of the reasons why is that at the time, through marriage, we were related to the Maislins, which is Maisland Transport. Some of you may know that was a big transport company. One of my uncles was Sammy Maislin, and he had a 10% interest in the Montreal Canadiens. So I got a lot of things that were Habs from that. Believe it or not, I think the 1972, I wanted 71 or 72 Habs, a stick signed by all the players. And what I did with that stick was I would go out and play street hockey and show it off to all my friends playing street hockey until the stick was useless. And I didn't even keep it, still. And yeah, I don't have it today, but I had one of those. So I wish I had it today. That would be worth a lot of money and would be great on my wall behind me. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So we went to the game. Me, my brother, who was 2 years older than me, almost like exactly 2 years older than me. He's passed away. He's over 30 years now. And myself, who was not yet 5. So I don't remember a ton. I sort of remember watching the team skate around like in the warm up. I don't remember the game a lot because my attention span wasn't great. But one thing I do remember, and why I remember this game, is that we were sitting, because we had good seats, but it was behind the opponent's net. So we had the Habs for one period. And Gump Worsley was the goalie. And his hair was so short that my brother and I thought it was super funny because it was 1967. Everybody had long hair. Even we did. I was 5 years old, had long hair. And we just thought it was so funny, and we couldn't stop laughing for that period with Worsley right in front of us, a legendary goalie in a legendary game, the Oakland Seals. And we were just too young to appreciate it because it was our first exposure to hockey. But I remember that, and I remember also my grandfather having to kind of get back in your seats kind of thing often as we were young. I was 5. I was almost 5 and he was almost 7. So anyways, that's my first. So this is the team that we saw. The Oakland Seals, that's from the 67-68 season. That's their team photo. I don't know exactly who was playing there. I really don't know. And it's too small there, I guess, to do. I should have kind of put all the names, but they weren't great. They weren't known. Like, this was a famous team, right? A legendary team, but it wasn't because they were good. I believe that season they only had 15 wins and 17 ties. I looked it up. So they weren't very good. But they were legendary because of their uniforms, which were like the colors of the logo here, right? The yellow and green, I believe. I guess a blue trim. That was the color of their uniforms. They were also famous for this skates, and they did this one season where they went to white skates. And you've never seen that before. And it looked kind of ridiculous with those uniforms and white skates. And that is one of the things that the Oakland Seals are famous for, are these skates. So if you haven't seen them before, that's what anybody's been talking about if you've heard it. The Habs team was this here. You see Beliveau as the captain. This is from their team photo for 67-68. Those trophies, I know they won the cup that year, as a matter of fact. And I think the year before, and I don't see the Stanley Cup there, so I don't know what those trophies are and why they're there, but that's apparently the photo from 67, 68. You got Beliveau, you got Henri Richard on one side. That from there's the Gumper just above Henri Richard, who's wearing the A on the, if you're looking at it, it's on the right. After that, I can't, from this here size, I can't really tell you who anybody else is. I can't tell you who anybody else is, but that's the team that played. And then here's the this is the games list for the Oakland Seals. It was the 32nd game of the season. They lost 4-2 to Montreal. They played Montreal not too long ago, and if you look on the last column there, the middle, the three numbers, the middle one, that's losses, and you can see from 16 losses, right? So that's their streak: 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So they went, that was a bit of a streak. Montreal was part of that streak. Then they had, I guess, a tie. And then again, they started losing. So not a good team. They weren't known for that. Just legendary. Some of the players, their uniforms, and those skates. Definitely. And I guess not the first team out in the West Coast, but I guess LA was already around. But yeah, it's just, I guess the owner also, there was stuff there. He did a lot of weird things. And it was just kind of a weird team. So there you go. Here is, I wanted to show you also the box scores. Wait, I got to drop this out. And then you got to see me. And then I put up the box scores and see if I can do that. Okay, so there's not a ton, but you can see it was 4-2. Let's see who was in there. First period, Mickey Redmond from Bobby Rousseau and Gilles Tremblay. Mickey Redmond was famous for being traded for Frank Mahovlich to the Detroit Red Wings. He scored, I think, 50 over there. Great. He could have been a great player. He was for a little while, and then he dropped off. But Mickey Redmond, I remember the trade for Mahovlich and all that. Second period, yeah. Jacques Laperriere from Henri Richard and Bobby Rousseau. Then Oakland scored George Swarbrick from Mike Lawton and Kent Douglas. Names you've never heard before for a lot of people. Third period, Dick Duff. And I don't know if Dick Duff, this was before, we had him before or after he was a Toronto Maple Leaf. But Dick Duff, pretty legendary himself, from Richard and J.C. Tremblay. And then Jacques Lemaire from his 10th. So he was and Swarbrick had 10 goals too. So whatever. From LaRose and John Ferguson. And then they got their second goal. Jerry Eamon from Larry Ponine and Alain Caron. Anyways, there you go. That's the scores. But I mean, it was a legendary team. Here's all the players. And I saw them live. So Charlie Hodge, ex-Habs goalie, was their goalie. So that's interesting. I'm still looking at the names to see if there's anybody else. Billy Harris was a Hab. And that's about it. Bobby Bond, I know the name, and I can't, he was a player in the league at the time. But that's the names I know. The rest of them I don't really know. For the Habs, we had Beliveau, Duff, Ferguson, Danny Grant, Terry Harper, Ted Harris, Laperriere, LaRose, Lemaire, Provo, Redmond, Henri Richard, Rousseau, Serge Savard, Gilles Tremblay, J.C. Tremblay, and Gump Worsley was the main goalie. I don't know. They must have had a backup. They didn't have backups in those days. Look at that. So now the year after, I was looking through it, and the year after it was Rogie Vachon, who I'm going to talk about. So that's how I narrowed it down to here, and it had to be after we moved back to Canada. So this is the only game it could have been. I saw that game. So pretty amazing. And I hope you liked. I mean, let me know what you thought about that. And did anybody else out there see the Oakland or California Golden Seals? If you're old enough like me to have done that, even if you were a little kid like I was and a parent took you there, you may remember that. Let me know in the comment section. If you're not, let me know what you know about the Oakland Seals, and have you ever seen those skates before? Because that's pretty interesting anyway. So, like I said, let me know in the comment section about that. All right. So we're going to move on to. So I'm kind of in the middle of writing a book. It's been it's almost 2 years or 2.5 years that I started it. I got to get back to this. You can see it from paper day. It's old paper, it looks like already. I haven't read it in a while. So if I stumble on any of the verses, I will correct it. But just, have patience with me. So this is, I called it My Life with Hockey, or How I Fell in Love with the Game. I was thinking about an old movie with Peter Sellers about a nuclear bomb. I can't remember the title now, but that's how, anyways, it's how I fell in love with the game. So I guess some of this took place probably, I'm trying to think how old I was. And where I think it's around the time of the Vachon Trade. I'm not exactly sure when this started off, but anyways, it's called How I Fell in Love with the Game. I will try to read this to you successfully. Hockey to me is such a great game. It's the greatest sport of all. I started playing this game of hockey when I was barely 3 feet tall. My very first memory of the game was watching my big brother play, jumping out on the ice with his teammates. It still gives me goosebumps to this day. He was my older brother. I looked up to him with awe. To see him skating on the ice, I fell in love with what I saw. I begged my parents to get me skates. I had to learn today. I had to get out on that ice and with my brother play. I had to get skates. I begged and cried. I might have used words from the gutter. Then one day, to my utter surprise, they got me a pair of cheese cutters. I love those skates, but the other kids made fun. Today, it still kind of rankles, but at least I wasn't one of them skating on their ankles. I was able to skate out there on my own. Hey, look, I don't really suck. So, of course, I asked my dad if he would get me a stick and a puck. So now I'm there with all the kids. Oh, yeah, I belong in this place. Then all of a sudden, my skate hits a rut and I fall flat on my face. I get up and brush myself off. I guess it was I got up and brushed myself off. Got to feeling like I didn't belong, but I just shrugged my shoulders and with a big grin skated off, proud and strong. That scene played out so many times as a kid. I wore out so many pair of skates. Barely a day was missed out on the ice. Canadian kids of my time can relate. Every day after school, we go straight to the rink till we had to go home to eat. Sometimes on the weekend, our parents would let us go back to the rink as a treat. Every weekend morning after eating our meal, we'd rush out to the rink. Not much time to dry our equipment out. Man, did our gear stink. As I look back now, it amazes me that we never tired of the game. We couldn't wait every day to get back on the ice. Our excitement was always the same. The local rink was a second home. We spent so much time there, spending all day with your friends, enjoying life without a care. It comes to an end, of course, every year with the melting of the snow, but that didn't stop us from playing the game. That's what street hockey's for. From April till October, we'd be out there every day playing our street hockey game. Here comes a car. Hey, get out of the way. Some days in the summer, we would play some ball, but not as often as you might think. More than likely, we'd be out on the street wishing we were out at the rink. Because I was one of the younger kids, I'd always get put in the net. So, is it any wonder my first hockey idol was a goalie named Tony Esposito? I love Tony O. What a great goalie he was. Always flipping and flopping for saves. 15 shutouts he had in his rookie year, a record that still stands today. And then came the year 1971. It was a great year. I can concur. That was the year I saw my favorite Hab, and his name was Guy Lafleur. I'm probably going to cry soon. Guy le Diamant Blanc, with his hair flying back in the air, carrying the puck down his wing, Steve Shutt at his side after a great pass from Jacques Lemaire. He pulled back his stick and let the puck fly. We'd watch it sailed off through the air. It just misses the far side, top corner, and the goalie would get quite a scare. Guy didn't miss that often, man. He scored so many times. He must have scored on every goalie that was playing in his time. He was my favorite Hab of all. I really love that guy. He scored so many goals. Now he's resting in the sky. I got through that. That one was that's tough for me. It was so great growing up as a Habs fan. I got to see 8 Stanley Cup wins. They are the best hockey team ever. Bleu Blanc Rouge, the Montreal Canadiens. The players I've seen in my lifetime on those stacked Montreal Canadiens teams. They've won 12 cups in my lifetime. That's not a great rhyme. For a fan, that's like living a dream. It's been a while since our last one. The Habs' last cup was in 1993. It's been 32 years now, because it says 30 years when I wrote it. Now, as I write this, but I've got 24 cups to comfort me. The winningest club in all of hockey. As I've said, the great players I've seen, Jean Beliveau and the Pocket Rocket, skating across my television screen. Ken Dryden, may rest in peace, was the very best goalie. Won six cups in the 8 seasons he played. The best goalie of his generation. I'm going to read that again because I got it screwed up. Ken Dryden was the very best goalie. Won 6 cups in the 8 seasons he played. The best goalie of his generation. We all wished that he would have stayed. We had the big 3 defensemen, Guy Lapointe, Larry Robinson, and Serge Savard. They didn't give up very many goals. Going around them was so very hard. And I think that's all I got. That's where I ended it. Anyways, that's from my book that I've got to start working on again. As a matter of fact, now that I'm doing this, I'm going to keep it out, and I am going to tackle that. Maybe that's how I'll get back to my poetry writing. I've been really slacking on it. I could say slagging on it, and that's where I got the nickname Slags. Anyways, let me know what you thought of that. That's kind of describes a lot of my growing up, and my very early days watching my brother play. It's very true, by the way. I remember he played Pee-wee, whatever, tiny, and we lived in Saint Laurent. The rink was basically across the street from where we lived. So I went to one of his games, and I fell in love with it, watching my big brother, out there with everybody skating, and he was decent, and I was still I couldn't skate even at that time, and I just fell in love with it and I had to do it. And I learned I'm not horrible. Today, I don't know. I haven't skated in a while. But I mean, I was out there. Oh, excuse me. Playing every day. Man, we never missed a day going to the rink in the winter. And in the winter back then, it was cold enough, and the rinks were there. It didn't melt. We never had it melt. And that's my childhood, literally. Going to school and going to the rink if it wasn't too cold. When it was too cold or it was snowing, certain days you couldn't do that. But I took my skates and my stick to school in the locker, and then from school, literally went to the rink in the park, which was like a block and a half away from school. So, when what a life. I was lucky enough that, we were well off enough that I got to grow up for a little while in that kind of white privilege. Look, that's the truth. When I was young, but it ended. It ended. It ended. All right, let's go on to the trade for Rogie Vachon. I just got to set it all up. You probably won't see much, but if it looks like I'm in a different position all of a sudden, it's because I got to pause here. All right, for the 1971-72 season, that's what year it was, 71-72. But this was in 71. I'm going to pause again and let my dog work it out. All right, hopefully she's done, but I turned the camera back on, so probably not. All right, so as I mentioned, Rogie Vachon was traded in the 71-72 season. And the reason that he was traded was in the season before, Ken Dryden was called up with 6 games left because the Habs were having a horrible season. And I guess they blamed it on Vachon, or they needed a change in net. And Ken Dryden did provide exactly what they needed because he won those 6 games. They started him in the playoffs, and he played all the way through and won a cup and hadn't even had a rookie season yet. So the next season, it was clear that Ken Dryden was going to get the number 1 job. And Rogie Vachon didn't. He wanted to be a number 1 goalie, and he asked for a trade. He asked for a trade because he needed to be a number 1 goalie, and he didn't care where. I have a quote of that. But anyways, let's just to show. Here's Vachon winning the cup because he won, I believe, 2 cups the 2 previous seasons, or no, 68 in the 60s. He won 2 cups with Montreal. Just here's another just picture of him. That's what he looked like. He wore number 30. Here's the trade that happened. The top one there were the Bruins. That was later in his career. But the November 4th, 1971, so very early in the season, he was traded to LA along with the Canadians had an option to swap 1975 first-round picks with LA. The Canadians got Dennis DeJordy, a goalie, and he played a little bit. Dale Hoganson, don't remember what position. Noel Price, he played a little bit. I remember seeing his hockey card. Doug Robinson, no relation to Larry, and their option to swap 1975 first-round picks, which they did, and they got Pierre Mondoux, who was a great third-line center. Pierre Mondoux was one of those players I really, really liked. And when he had to, I believe, retire because of an eye injury, I was really saddened by that news that he had to retire. I don't believe he was traded. Maybe he was, but I don't believe. But it was because of an eye injury that he had to retire. For some reason, I don't know. I think as a kid, it was probably the stupid reason that his name was funny to say for us English kids, and he was a good player. And I just love Pierre Mondoux. So that was the trade. So here's some achievements before the trade for Rogie Vachon. The top one was when he was junior. There was no draft, so he was not drafted. NHL best goalie, Vezina Trophy. At the time was the NHL best goalie, 67-68. Stanley Cup in 67-68 and 68-69. And in 70-71, but he didn't play in the playoffs. The previous 2 seasons he did. So, yeah. So there you go. That's on that note. And this is his quote kind of what happened. So the top part is when he got to LA. But I'm going to just go from farther in there. He said, but it was a time for me to move on when Ken Dryden came in, said Vachon, who became a star in LA. I wanted to be a number 1 somewhere. Didn't matter where. And I wound up in LA, which was a great move when I look back on my career. So, like I said, he asked for the move, and they gave that to him. I remember Vachon probably more in LA than in Montreal, but I do remember him a little bit in Montreal. But what I do remember the most as a player, and not from watching him, because it was later that I would have watched more, is that news when it came that he was traded. In those days, players didn't move around like they do today. It was big news. The teachers, any adults at school were talking about it when it happened, and probably on the bus, the older kids were. No, I don't think I took a bus. So in the schoolyard, kids were talking about it. I wasn't that much of a hockey fan yet, although it was getting there, and that just cemented me as a Habs fan, because everywhere I went, because I was young, so after school, my mom, if she went shopping, she took me with her, and that day we went food shopping, and we went a couple of places, and everywhere we went, literally, I heard people talking about it. And then the older kids on the street afterward playing, they were talking about it. It was such a big impact for like a while after too, like a good week after. It was everywhere I went. I heard somebody mention the name Vachon. That's what it was like to be for the Canadians in the city in those days. Everybody talked about them. They were huge. So it made a huge impact on me, and I think it made me sort of narrow my focus on what team. If they were that loved, then and in my city that I'm living in, then I'm gonna love them like that as well. And that's why it's Habs or nobody for me. If Habs are my team, I don't cheer for anyone else and never will. I can cheer in certain games if there's a player, maybe a former Hab in there that I like, but I'm not cheering for any team other than my Montreal Canadiens. That's just how it is. So there is the then. I hope you like that. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you were old enough to remember the Rogie Vachon trade and how that might have impacted you to become a Habs fan, like it did for me, let me know in the comment section. And we're going to get on the inside the time machine and head up to the now and talk about a few things in the now. And that's happening right now. Boom! We're in the now. Screwed that up. We're in the now. Okay, we're going to take a look first at the points totals for under 26, for U26 players in the Atlantic Division only. You can see there they got Raymond, Stützle, Dahlin, Hudson, Caulfield, got Lundell, Demidov, Sanderson, Slav, and Nyes. And they go in order, I guess, of how many points. I'm only concerned here about the Habs and my predictions that I made in an early points prediction. I don't know who made these predictions. I thought they'd said the name. Obviously, you can see it doesn't. So it looks like an official, like an RDS or some shit like that. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Somebody else made these predictions. Let's see how close I am to these predictions for the players that are the Habs in this thing here. So you see, who do I got up there first? Caulfield. They got Caulfield, 77 points. They don't break down goals and assists. I do. Here's what I had. So I had him for this coming season having 43 goals, 35 assists for 78 points. I have since upped the goals to 45. I think he'll get 45. So that would be 80, but it's 78 or 80 is what the total comes to. These guys had Caulfield with 77. So anybody thought, well, you're crazy, you're just a homer and all that. So either this guy's a homer like me, or I'm not that far off from what he had, right? So that's Caulfield. Next, I got Demidov up next. 69 points for Demidov for these guys. I think I have a little bit higher, but not crazy. 73 points. 23 goals, 50 assists for Demidov in 82 games. It's 4 points off. That's nothing. So I think not that crazy, if you ask me, right? I'm not that crazy. I do think I am crazy, but not in this. In this, I think I may be sane. Let me know in the comment section. Am I crazy with my predictions? And is this person, whoever made these, crazy? Next up is Lane Hudson. They have Hudson 79 points. And I have Hudson for 80 points. And I was told way too much. No one's going to think that he's going to get 80 points. Well, that guy had 79. I've got 80, 8 goals, 72 assists. Not that bad. Not that bad. I'm close. At least I'm not the only one that may be crazy. And I honestly, this is a bit of a bold prediction, but I think he'll be anywhere between 70 and 80 anyways. So, bold prediction 80. That would leave Slavkovsky. They've got Slav with 66 points. This is the only one of the four that I didn't look at previously before coming in here to see how close I was. So I don't really know. Did I get it close to this guy? Let's see. I got Slav with 63 points. That guy had him at 66. Or what was it? I can't even remember from that. 66 points, 3 points difference. He's got it 3 points more than me. Slav, 23 goals, 40 assists. Yeah, I don't think that's out of the question. What is that? 12 points more than he got last season. And I think he's going to be better, and the team is going to be better overall. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities like on power plays for him to increase from last year's 51. So anyways, that's what I got. What are your totals? If you had made totals for these guys, how do you compare with that person I'm comparing to? Let me know in the comment section, please. All right, we've got some team evaluations for like I said, for the franchise. Hang on, let me move to here. Oh boy, that's not very big, but you can see number 3 is the Montreal Canadiens. They're the third most expensive, highest evaluation. 3 billion. Ahead of them are the Rangers, not really a surprise, and not ahead by a ton. And the Maple Leafs, ahead by close to $1 billion. So, but of course, it's the Maple Leafs. But okay, so it's Toronto, New York, Montreal, Boston, LA, and Edmonton is the top 6. So not much of a. Well, I think Edmonton being there is a bit of a surprise. The other, either their original 6 or their huge markets, and sometimes both. And then on the bottom of it, you got Columbus, worth 1.3 or 1.2. I can't see from here. And Winnipeg, 1.3 something. Ottawa, Buffalo, Utah, San Jose round out the bottom. But anyways, I thought it was interesting. I didn't think Montreal was the third highest evaluation in the league, but I knew they'd be high up there. So there you go. Anybody says Montreal's not worth anything, well, there you go. They're worth a lot. A lot. Habs are ranked number 14 in the. This is from the NHL network, the NHL page, I guess. The NHL network, the NHL page. Because you can see the logo on the corner, but I'm not 100% sure. I just found this somewhere. The Habs are ranked 14th on the NHL Super 16 Power Rankings. Hang on, I need some water. All right, so the word rebuild is, by the way, total points 47, and they were number 15 in the summer, so they moved up. The word rebuild is now a thing from the past in Montreal, they say. They are now ready to push for another playoff appearance. The Canadiens would like to prove last spring was not a fluke. Nick Suzuki, the captain, was saying that it's time to set some higher goals for this young team. Montreal was able to add 2 young players to that young core with the acquisitions of defenseman Noah Dobson and forward Zach Bolduc. Forward Ivan Demidov could follow the footsteps of defenseman Lane Hudson and win the Calder Trophy as the league's Rookie of the Year. That's by Jean-Francois Chaumont. He's the principal journalist or the head journalist at the NHL.com site. So that's interesting. Montreal finally getting that recognition that they deserve. They're an up-and-coming team. I'm not sure to say that the rebuild is fully finished because it's not, but they're really close, and I'm okay with that part of it. It's not really that horrible, I guess. All right, next we've got this meme that I found. That's why the Jackeye brothers are on the thumbnail. So this is showing the owner, the GM, head coach, captain, all that in their bio, and owners, Jackeye brothers. After that fight-filled game the other day, where there was like over 200 minutes in penalties and a few fights with both brothers, and they both laid out their opponents. As did Struble. I wanted to call him Subban, and man, that makes me like, I'm not racist, man. It's not why I want to. I just couldn't remember his bloody name. I'm so horrible with names sometimes. But the Jackeye brothers, owners of the Ottawa Senators. Now Florian, by I think it's almost confirmed. By the way, this is after that game. Mother having a little bit of a cry after I think Florian scored a goal or something like that. So that's nice to see, right? So it turns out that Florian, who I thought may just make the team, he is not going to make the team. It's Kapanen and Joe Veleno are going to be the guys that were fighting for those two spots that are making the team. I do believe, and also, Jackeye has waiver rights. Veleno doesn't. I don't think Kapanen has waiver rights either. But neither does Blais. But, someone might pick up Sammy Blais and someone might not. Because if you think Sammy Blais is going to be in the AHL for a lot of the season, I believe if you pick him up on waivers here, don't you have to keep him on the team for a certain amount of time? And that might not, be favorable to whoever might pick him up. So there you go. That's why that's why I put them on the thumbnail, because it's becoming a big rivalry now, a good rivalry now with Montreal and Ottawa, where, I've started to kind of hate Ottawa a lot along the lines of Toronto. Same kind of way, just it's not as deep because it's not as long, but they're making inroads on that, So yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think Florian will be one of the first call-ups. If there's a forward injured, depending. If it's a top six guy and they need a top six guy, maybe not. But, middle six to bottom six, he's going to get the call-up. He'll be back here at some point in the season. And if not, maybe at the trade deadline. But he will, in my opinion, probably make the team out of camp next season. He's not that far away. He kind of showed them that he has the kind of game that they need, right? A lot like his brother. He's that physical guy. He's huge. But he can also play, and contribute. And that's something that Montreal needs, So hopefully he'll be back up soon. I thought he did a great job in camp, Florian, and has the right attitude. So, that's always good too. So yeah, Florian, the Jackeye brothers, the Bash brothers, they basically own the Ottawa Senators. I don't think there's that much doubt about that. Let me know what you guys think. You agree with that or you don't? If you're an Ottawa Senators fan watching, yeah, I don't expect you to agree with that, but let me know what you think in the comment section. And now we're going to end. This is the last bit of business. We're going to take a look at the next 2 weeks, because this is I'm going to be filming this every 2 weeks, at least to start. So we've got 2 weeks, and there's games starting, right? We got 3 games this week on the road, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Toronto, Detroit, Chicago, and then they're home for Seattle, Nashville, and the Rangers Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday of the following week. And I'm going to tell you who I think is how they're going to do. Wins and losses. I'm not going to predict scores, but I'm going to predict wins and losses. Maybe down the road I'll be doing scores, but not for right now. I'm still rusty about all this shit. So, all right. Excuse me for the voice. A little raspy today. Next week, which is, I'm filming this on Sunday. So, it's next week. On Wednesday, they're in Toronto to open the season. I think they are going to, what I think, they're going to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, who I think they're going to finish ahead of in the standings this season. I think in Detroit, the following night, even though it is back-to-back, I do think they are going to beat the Detroit Red Wings. Yeah, I can't. I have no feel for the score. Otherwise, I'd give it, but they are on Saturday. They're in Chicago. They're going to beat Chicago, even if it's on the road. I don't care. Chicago, still not a great team. They may be improved a little bit, yes, but I don't expect them to be moving up the standings hugely, maybe a little bit. Okay, so then the week after, from Saturday till Tuesday, so they have a couple of days off, and then they're in Seattle. No, then Seattle's in Montreal. I think they beat Seattle. And I realize I'm talking about a 4-game winning streak to open the season. I think that they beat Seattle in Montreal. If it was in Seattle, I think maybe this would be a loss. But I think in Montreal, this is going to be a win. Then they got Nashville on the Thursday, so 2 nights later. And again, I'm going to go for a win against Nashville. I don't know if Nashville is going to be improved over last season or not, to be very honest. But Montreal is going to beat them and start the season off with a 5-game winning streak to have a hot start and a chance to finish in the top 3 in the division at least and go on into the playoffs strong and maybe with home ice advantage, right? So I think Seattle, I said they win. Nashville, they win. And then that's where it stops, I think, in New York. I just feel that New York is going to come in here and beat us. I don't know why New York can just do that. Again, you never know with New York how we're going to play. I don't think they're going to start with a 6-game win streak, but I hope they are. And I hope I'm wrong on that game. But I'm going to call it a loss there, and they're going to have a 5-1, I guess, 2 weeks until I get back for episode 2. So let me know what you think in the comment section. What do you think? Give you your wins and losses for that stretch of time. And that's it. We're going to come to an end here. I know it ran long. First episode. The second episode, I might cut down a little bit number of topics and stuff, but I wanted to bring all of this stuff to you guys. Let me know what you think. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't. We're on Don't Puck with Media. I'm not on Talking Habs doing this, so subscribe so it'll let you know that I'm doing a pod, and it's check it out. And that's it. So like I always say, thanks for watching. I really appreciate everybody watching. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and just thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. As always, till next time, stay safe out there. Peace out, y'all. And we'll see you right here at Don't Puck with Media. Ciao, boys. Ciao.